those of you who know me well, and those of you who may not know me well yet, I just got in touch with my biological family about 2 weeks ago on Facebook. They found me, and we've been talking ever since. The irony is that I don't think I've ever felt more alone since I got in touch with them. It's not to say that we don't have anything in common, because Jen crochets and she likes Star Trek, and Patsy is just one of the most wonderful people I've ever met, and my biological mother crochets too, and we make these wonderful projects, and I've seen some of the amazing things she's made. But I was definitely hoping that when I got in touch with my biological family, I would find out that somebody has autism just like me. And I know that's terrible to say, and it's not to say that my sisters and my family don't love me and they don't communicate, because they do, and they're there for me. But none of them can explicitly say that they understand exactly what I'm going through. Now, my Trekkie friends are going to wonder how I'm going to relate this back to Star Trek, because, well, this is a Star Trek and autism podcast. Well, and David the Wong, you're going to love this. The honest truth is, I feel like to Paul on the Enterprise from the show Enterprise. Well, she wasn't on the Enterprise, so she was in the show Enterprise. But she was a Vulcan on a ship of all humans except for Dr. Phlox. And despite the fact that she learned how to be a part of that crew and learned what it meant to exist among humans, and despite the fact that she had the longest running tenure on a human ship, it feels like she was lonely because there was no one else of her species on board. And so there was no one who could relate exactly to what she was going through. And despite the fact that there was another alien on board, Dr. Phlox, his species is super social, and he wants to be around the crew and meet the crew and be amongst other people all the time. And T'Pol would much rather end up in her quarters meditating in front of a candle than to be amongst the crew. And that's kind of how I feel sometimes, because it feels like no one else understands exactly what goes on in my life and exactly who I am, because no one else has autism that I know except for the people in my autism group on Facebook. But no one in my immediate family, no one in my immediate life knows exactly what it means to be dealing with autism on a day-to-day basis. The irony is, I actually like the character of Spock in the original series to represent this kind of feeling that I'm going through right now more than T'Pol. And I think that's ironic because he's part human, part Vulcan. And he was on a ship of mostly humans, a handful of aliens. But correct me if I'm wrong, guys, in the comments. I don't think there were any other Vulcans on board the original Enterprise. And for him, it was even more of a struggle because he was learning how to deal with being human and Vulcan at the same time, as well as how to deal with being on a crew of hundreds and mostly humans while being Vulcan. And I think that Kirk, for all my Trekkie friends, Kirk is actually the kind of person who balances him out in the original series, because it helps him toe the line between human and Vulcan. Because I do feel that Spock in the original series weighs heavily on the Vulcan side and less on the human side. And I feel that Kirk kind of balances out that and brings out the human side in him, but that Spock also acts as a counterbalance to Kirk's insanity as well. Unfortunately, I kind of feel like that's lost in the new series or in the new rebooted movies because they didn't have the relationship that they had. I mean, they lost that relationship because of the timeline switch up. That they don't have that trust that they built together. And they do kind of have it in the third movie. But I feel like the writers and the producers are doing a disservice to Kirk and Spock as a friendly pair in eliminating that trust in the first two movies. I mean, yeah, eventually they build up that friendship, and potentially the difference is because in the Enterprise, on the Enterprise in the original series, he's much older. So maybe it's a trust that's built up until he's that age. They're much younger in the new reboot series. But for people who are longtime Star Trek fans, it's just almost heartbreaking. At least for me. Because I remember a fierce, logical Spock. And I do feel that the Spock in the reboot series is less logical and more human. He does tend to emotions that I don't think the Spock in the original series would have tended to. And maybe we'll be discussing that in my Star Trek group. I don't know, guys. It's been put to a vote. But I feel like the writers and the producers are doing Spock a disservice by pulling out this humanity in him. And again, maybe it's because he's not the age that he is in the original series. And with time, he becomes more wise and more logical and learns to balance the logic against his human impulses. But when they're using scenes from the original series and the original movies and replicating them in the new movies, it gives me a pause when I think about Kirk and Spock and the way that the characters have changed in the new timeline. And yes, I know we have a new timeline, so it all works out. But for people who are longtime Star Trek fans and are fans of all the series, I feel like it kind of wrecks it a little. Please feel free to comment in the comments and let me know what you guys think. Because Spock is someone that I really relate to, and I would like to see what people think about Spock in the reboot, so Zachary Quinto, versus Leonard Nimoy, not as Spock Prime, but in the original series. Anyhow, now that I've gone into a long drawn-out discussion on Star Trek, it's a thing for me when I see Spock, because he's a human. I mean, he's a human Vulcan hybrid amongst a crew of entirely humans almost. I looked up the crew complement the other day. I believe there were a handful of aliens, but none of them were Vulcan. And that definitely creates a problem for him, because there's no one for him to go to when he has trouble or to go to when he has a problem. So, I know I keep saying tune in next week, and I will do another video, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be tuning in before next week, because I get random ideas throughout the week, and I would love to do a 2-3 minute video and let you guys know what I'm thinking. So if I come up with something during the week, I'm going to let you know, and if not, I'll see you again on Sunday with something new about how I relate to Star Trek as someone with autism. Live long and prosper.